The 701st edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And we're also brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a new social sportsbook available in 45 states. Download the Rebet app and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match of up to $100. And finally, we're brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing the college football and NFL seasons with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Howdy ho, degenerinos, and welcome to episode 701 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Morbid 307, who loves our breakdowns. Hats off to you guys. Ironically, I've never seen your hats off, which is almost true. The one up, oh, there you go. Mine is not very good today.
More diminished
and very bald and very messy.
That's all I got going on.
The one episode I didn't wear a hat.
I got a lot of comments.
We got a lot of downloads. Yeah, maybe if I ever get a haircut. Because when I get a haircut, I look a little less bald. I don't look like Damon Jackson unbald, but yeah.
Jackson unballed. Sounds like
there's an episode title, ladies and gentlemen.
A bad action movie. Damon Jackson unballed.
Yes. Damon Jackson, R.I.P. You're not dead, but your career, I guess, is. You retired. But he sounded pretty happy with his life when Gumby talked to him on his show last week. So, all right, I am Big Body Taco Fox. Currently, is what I go by. Big Bald Fox, and we're talking about we're going to France. We're talking about some Aries fighting this episode. We have talked about them a few times actually. This event actually has some names you may know, even if you're just a UFC fan. There's a few names that you may recognize on this here card, and it is happening on. Oh, this is Saturday too, man. Saturday's going to be
a lot of events.
We have your people's schedule all set. You're going to start with LFA on Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, and then that's going to lead you right into the UFC that starts at 3 a.m. Friday night / Saturday morning. That will lead you right into Cage Warriors at noon on Saturday, and then this event can be on the separate screen too, Aries at 1 p.m. So you're all set. You are all set, you degens. Let's bring in the man who's going to make the picks, who is probably, as we record this, we don't know for sure, but I'm assuming by this time you are up at least 40 units in regional MMA. We're just going to make that assumption. It's going to be real.
God, don't jinx it. Yeah, hopefully Anthony Pettis Fighting Championships is going well in 45 minutes from now. It's actually probably, the main card should probably start right as we end this one. Little peek behind the curtain here. But yeah, it was kissing that number right before APFC 14 on Sunday, 39.89. Just so close. Operation 40 units is might be Operation 50 units by the end if we keep
there. You go. I like it. I always like to bring these things up because some yahoos like to question Gumby's cred online, and if you just read that, you would think he doesn't know what he's talking about, but the proof is there. You can go back and listen to every episode, and you can see these are legit picks, not leans. They're locks, not leans. So
picks.
So we got some Aries going down, as I said, Aries FC 27. Thoughts on this card? Is it's got some couple of familiar names, or at least one familiar name from the UFC, maybe two
that we're going to talk about today, and then like some decent guys on the regional scene on the prelims too. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Aries is usually a fight card where you're like, who did they bring in to try to lose to this French person, and can I see a path to victory for them? And you might catch me finding some paths to victory for those non-Frenchies on this card.
Non-Frenchies, nice. Newer promotion, they seem to be building up and doing pretty good. 27th event is what MMA just got legalized a few years ago, so they are the biggest.
I thought they were going to grow a lot faster than they did.
Yeah.
Also, didn't they have Rogue for a while?
I think they did. You're right. The new champion of one, right?
Yeah. Calling out Francis Ngannou.
I was just going to say, people want to see. That would be old school. That would be a New Year's Eve fight back in the days of Pride.
Yeah. That's Ioki Bombaye.
Yes. Or that too, yes.
Fight. Yeah.
No, he's the type of guy that would have been fed to Fedor back in the day, and he would have destroyed Fedor for a round or so, and then somehow Fader would win as per usual.
Yeah, he would have gotten rear naked choked in the second round, late second round.
Yep. That's the way it works. So anyhow, we're not talking about any of those people today. We're talking about Aries FC 27. After I remind you, you don't want to suffer from FOMO. So if you haven't already, make sure you download our app, because if you don't download the SGPN app, you are missing out. The app gives you access to all the podcasts on the network and the picks pages and our giveaways, our contests, our articles. Everything is there in one convenient app. Plus, like all our content, the app is completely free and it's all locks, not leans on there as well. Type in SGPN in your app store to download it today. Now we're going off overseas for us to France. I'm sure we have plenty of viewers in France. So bonjour to you, mes amis. Aries Fighting Championship 27, Augen versus Rocha. As I told you off the top, it is going down Saturday, 1 p.m. Marseille, France. It is the Palais de Sport, and it's got 13 fights on the card in a cage. Sadly, they do their fights in a cage, not like electrical fence or shark tanks or anything like that. But anyhow, we're gonna have fun with this card nonetheless, and we're gonna actually talk about a former UFC fighter right in the first fight we're gonna break down. This is a featherweight bout, 3 5-minute rounds. How do you spell that name? Ylies, Djiroun, Ylies. I should know because
You're the Canadian one.
Yeah, it should be Yves. That would be easier. Ylies, Djiroun, Geraldo de Freitas. So France versus Brazil. De Freitas would be the former UFC fighter. No odds for this yet, but pretty widely available usually, or you can find them, right?
Offshores usually have them. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Since we have a sponsor, we won't mention where you can find them. Maybe they have it too. I haven't checked. De Freitas will tell you about first. Spartan, 14-7, 4 knockouts, 7 submissions. He's been knocked out once. He's 0-1 in Aries. He's gone 2-1 over his last 3, 2-5 over his 2-3, excuse me, over his last 5. Lost his last fight via TKO in his Aries debut. That was back in June 2023. He's not won a fight since November 2020. He went 1-2 in the UFC. He's a regional champion, or was, 2012 pro MMA debut. Used to fight at bantamweight and lightweight, 2 inches of reach over. Djiroun, Broly is the nickname. Broly. I don't know what it means. Gumby.
No, I don't know any French.
Yep. He's 22-8, period. 3 knockouts, 11 submissions. He's been knocked out twice. Very durable gentleman. This is his debut in Aries. He's won 3 straight and 4 of 5. Won his last fight via submission. He went 0-2 in the PFL. He used to fight at lightweight and welterweight, regional champion, 2011 pro MMA debut, 3 inches taller than De Freitas.
Yeah, so I think Djiroun is going to be a negative 250 favorite.
That was good. Djiroun.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I was
job.
like, what is good? My prediction? Sorry. You have no idea if my prediction is good. Yeah, so I think Djiroun is going to be a negative 250 favorite. De Freitas was in the UFC, but it was so long ago. And he's lost even after leaving the UFC at this point. And obviously, there's the French boon to the record as well. So I'm gonna pick Djiroun. I think a couple of things stand out to me. If you watch De Freitas even when he was in the UFC, or you want to take his fights after the UFC for that matter, he's got a lot of times where when I was really high on his wrestling when he came to the UFC, he actually won his first fight, and I was like, this dude is legit. But when he can't get it going, he sort of freaks out in throws wild. That's going to help him set up the takedown better. His takedowns are still just as fundamentally sound as they were in the beginning, but he starts letting his hands go in a way that he probably shouldn't, because he's not particularly good defensively. And Djiroun is a very technically sound striker and a very patient striker on the feet. So when De Freitas starts to get nuts, he's going to circle. He's going to force him to miss. He's going to beat him up. And the other thing I really like about Djiroun in this fight is he's a guy who has really good counter wrestling. I've seen some people try to take him down before, and he hits the switch on him and winds up in better positions, or, good sweeps, or a little submission attempt that he doesn't actually want to use for a submission, but is just going to use to get on top. He's really good at using those types of grappling counters to come out in good positions. So against De Freitas, who is a guy who's very obviously wants those takedowns, I think he's going to struggle against Djiroun, and he's going to be forced to box, and I think Giroun's going to piece him up. So give me the Frenchman, probably, like I said, 2.5 to 1 or so.
All right. Very good. We're going to stick with the theme of former UFC fighters who didn't quite cut it the first go around in the UFC. Zarah Fairn, she's from France. She's fighting Annabruna Radoš.
Did she not cut it in the UFC? Was she not good?
Yeah, I have a feeling. We'll talk about that in a second. Annabruna Radoš has not had a chance in the UFC as of yet. She's from Italy. This is a featherweight bout, 3 5-minute rounds. Talk about Radoš first. Lady Breach is the nickname, all one word. I have no idea what that means. Neither does Gumby, I'm guessing. Used to be an expert on nicknames, but yeah, some of these we don't know. 3-3. This lady is with 2 knockouts. She's been knocked out once, submitted once. This is her debut in Aries. 1-2 of her last 3, 3-2 of her last 5. Won her last fight via TKO. 0-1 in Cage Warriors. Used to fight at flyweight and bantamweight. 10 years younger than Fairn. Infinite Fairn. Her losing streak in the UFC was infinite for sure. 6-7. 4 knockouts. She's been knocked out once, submitted twice. 0-1 in Aries. She's lost 5 straight. Before that, she won 3 straight. Lost her last fight via submission. She went 0-4 in the UFC. She deserved 4 fights for sure. Regional champion, used to fight at bantamweight, 2013 pro MMA debut.
They just kept.
What do you do with this one? This is kind of
they kept wheeling her out to lose to everybody, right? Like, you have to beat Megan Anderson, beat her, get a title shot. Felicia Spencer beat her, get a title shot, right? Like that's what her job was. So you have one UFC featherweight win before they promote you. I don't know what the line will happen here because on one hand, Annabruna Radoš is 3-3. She has fought some pretty legitimate competition. She fought Kennedy Freeman, who we talked about on yesterday's episode.
Yep.
And she actually looked pretty decent at the beginning of that fight. She was backing Freeman up a little bit. And Fairn, like we said before, Frenchman, that's going to help her odds. She was in the UFC. That's probably going to help her odds. But she was so awful in the UFC and is now 6-7. So, like, let's just say pick 'em. And I'm going to take Annabruna Radoš if it is a pick 'em. She's one of those fighters who's too damn bouncy on her feet for her own good. Like, she's not doing it for any good reason to get in and out, but she's just like I think she thinks she's better at striking if she's moving. And it's not necessarily true. But the fact of the matter is she's just so much faster than Fairn. And if you watch any of those fights in the UFC, Zarah Fairn was so slow. She was one of the slowest women I've ever seen in the UFC. And for me, like, with somebody who's like bouncy and moving all the time, like that's probably a bad thing. I also just think too, Fairn is clearly a kickboxer and doesn't want to do anything but that. I've never seen Radoš in the clinch. I've never seen Radoš shoot a takedown, but I just have a feeling she'd be able to if she wanted to. I don't think she will, but like, even if Fairn like got her very slow hands on Radoš multiple times and she was like, oh, this isn't going well, and just decided to like clinch up, I think she'd do well in the clinch, just because I think most people would do well in the clinch against Fairn. So yeah, I'm going to take out Annabruna Radoš. My guess is a pick 'em, but I have no idea how they're going to line this fight.
It's a fun name to say, Annabruna Radoš, even if she doesn't win. So everyone likes to bounce and switch stances for no reason. So yeah, that's the
I'm more okay with the switch stances because that at least messes with your opponent in their game plan.
Yeah.
Like, if you're shooting takedowns and all of a sudden there's a different lead leg forward, it messes with your single leg. But like, the bouncing is just, it doesn't really change much.
Yep. It's the Conor McGregor disease, right? That's what everyone wants to do.
That's the low hands problem. That's the low hands
bouncy. That's why everyone takes bad shots in the NBA, because they all grew up watching Kobe Bryant and they all think they can be like him. So anywho, the old guy's getting grumpy. Let's do an ad read before I get too grumpy. We're going to tell you about mybookie.ag. That doesn't make me grumpy. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. SGPN started out with mybookie, and now we are back. Check out the new and improved website. Great on mobile, plus props for every game and the live dealer casino. Even new early cash out options are available now. Check out their MMA lines and head to mybookie.ag with the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. We are brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a brand new social sportsbook available in 45 states. A huge market for betting opportunities are available on Rebet. Easy to use and great for people in states where traditional sportsbooks may be restricted. Download Rebet in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $100. That's Rebet, REBET, promo code SGPN. Back to France we go. for no UFC fighters the rest of the way. Sorry, if you're looking only for UFC fighters. Jordan Zébo, Vincent Del Guerra, a couple of French fighters fighting at welterweight. It does not say that on Tapology, but I checked. I did my research. Aries says it is welterweight fight, 3 5-minute rounds. Tell you about Del Guerra first. The Warrior. He's 31, 21, and 1. 11 knockouts, 15 submissions. He's been knocked out 4 times, submitted 14 times. This is an incredible record, Gumby. We don't get many of these in MMA. The MMA we talk about.
I've got a really fun breakdown of a fight I watched him in too.
Oh, nice. 0-1 in Aries. He's won 2 straight fights and 6 of 7. He's got multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. I guess if you fight 53 times, you're gonna stumble across some belts. Used to fight at middleweight and light heavyweight. 2009 was his pro MMA debut. Zébo is Le Fauve, the Beast. 6-1, 1 knockout, 1 submission. He's been knocked out once. He's 5-0 in Aries. He's won 2 straight fights. He went 0-1 in PFL. He's 10 years younger than the Warrior.
Zébo should be -350, -400, and he's still the pick here.
Yeah.
I'm going to take him. I think so. The funny breakdown of the Vincent Del Guerra fight is I'd never heard of this guy, which is wild with the amount of fights he's had. So I pulled up one of his recent fights, and I think it was at catchweight 195. So a little bit higher than he was at. The dude he was fighting was, let's say, bulky around the middle. He was a not heavyweight chunky guy, which is kind of fun. That not heavyweight chunky guy held him against the cage for far longer than he should want to admit. And then when he did eventually, I mean, he kind of knocked him down with strikes. He kind of tripped him. He got the guy down. He stomped on his belly for the finish.
Oh, nice. That's like Mike Tyson punching the King Hippo in the gut.
Yeah, but he stepped on it. Like
he stepped on it even better.
Like a big stump. Excuse me. Which was real weird. But the bottom line is that like big chunky guy held him in position for far longer than anybody who is shaped like that should against the guy who we are breaking down. And Zébo, like if you've watched Zébo, like big power double, good control against the clinch or against the cage.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love everything I've seen from him striking. It's like can be a little brawl heavy. But like in this case, I don't think it matters. Like he's just going to hit that double leg. He's going to be on top. He's probably going to finish. You said he's been submitted 14 times or something
14
like that.
times.
Yeah. Like he'll just get submitted then. He'll be an arm triangle in no time. So give me Jordan Zébo. Probably a big old number. Hopefully with the record of Del Guerra being as big and as robust as it is, maybe that keeps the line down when it originally posts. But like, yeah, you're going to have to jump on this one early because Zebo's number is going to get out of control.
Once the Gumby stands get their hands on this, it's going to zoom up. So the Beast is going to be the Warrior, according to Gumby. We are to our co-main event already here. It is Amin Ayoub from France. I'm sure I butchered his name. Estabili Amato, not from France. Estabili Malato, I think it's from Portugal. Yes, from Portugal. And these guys are fighting at 155. All right. Tell you about Amato first. He is 13-7, 7 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been submitted 3 times. This is his debut for Aries. He's won 3 of 4 and 3 of 9. A little worse. TKO win in his last fight. He's fight at featherweight, 4 years younger than Ayoub. Ayoub Fierceness is the nickname. 21-5. 4 knockouts, 8 submissions. He's never been finished in a fight. 5-0 in Aries. Part of a 5-fight winning streak and 13-1. He's gone over his last 14. He's not lost since September 2021. He has failed a drug test before. He also has multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. 2014 Pro MMA debut. He's fight at featherweight and welterweight. 1-1 as a pro grappler. 2 inches taller than Amato.
I know this is a big swing and it's going to make me sound crazy, but I'm going to swing on Amato here.
You say Amato.
I think he's going to be like negative or plus 500. I think he's going to be a massive underdog. And I think it's mostly because of that 6-fight losing streak you mentioned in there, which, by the way, had some pretty
That'll do it.
in it. It's like Manuel Souza and Joe Anderson Brito, and like he fought dudes in there. But like if you watch his fights, like Ayoub looks uncomfortable on his feet. Despite all of his, successes and his victories, he looks uncomfortable on his feet. He reaches for takedowns. I actually think Amato might be a little bit better of a wrestler. At least in his fights, he's more technically getting to people's hips than Ayoub is, granted against maybe a worse level of competition. But he's looked a lot better since he took that year off and has come back. What did you say? He's like 3-1 since he's come back from that year layoff. And like, I think his wrestling might be a little better. He's got a very nice 1-2. It's pretty simplistic. He's not doing anything fancy on the feet. But the thing I've noticed about Ayoub is like late in fights, he wilts. He gets really tired. He winds up in bottom positions instead of top positions with his wrestling. He gets in the clinch with the intention of wrestling, but still winds up on bottom sometimes, or at least scrambling. And then he looks really labored in his strikes late. And Amato doesn't. Amato has that energy even late into fights. And like I mentioned, he fought Joe Anderson Brito. He actually threw with Brito pretty well early in that fight. It didn't look bad. And that was back before he made all of these improvements. So I think Estabili Amato is going to be a absolutely massive underdog because he's coming in here to lose to the Frenchman. That's what they're bringing him in for. But I think his wrestling is a little bit underrated. I think he's gonna have the better gas tank, and I think that will be enough to beat Ayoub. So give me a big dog here in Amato.
4% on Tapology are picking Amato a bunch of right.
It's an undefeated French guy in a French main event who's a champion. They're never going to pick this guy, but if you've watched him, I think the wrestling could play.
Gummy likes trolling the people on our commenters on YouTube anyhow. So this is just you trying to.
I'm going to take hate for this, so go ahead and put the hate below, especially French fans and whatnot. I'm sure you're
yell at him in French, and then he won't understand it. I may understand it, but he won't. All right. Main event and lightning round picks after I tell you about underdogs. Speaking of underdogs, it's good. Good segue, Gumby. Underdog Pick'em is one of the biggest menus for all sports. NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. And you can now use specials to boost in all flex entries. Now we're done. Monday Night Football. No more picks for that. It's Tuesday now. What do you got for us?
Tuesday. I'm just going to say take the I don't have the line or the projection on it yet, but I'm going to take the higher than on Tabitha Ricci's takedowns against Yan Xiaonan on Saturday.
You think she's going to spam the takedowns?
I think she better. And we've seen Carla Esparza win that way. So let's see Baby Shark do the same thing.
Where do you think it'll be set at approximately? Do you know?
Probably 1.5 would be my guess. Yeah. But I think she even gets 3. Let's say that.
Yeah. There you go. Perfect. All right. Take that advice and take this advice as well. Sign up with our code SGPN MMA to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Underdogfantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. And SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds that get predictions for betting on money line spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build you a model. You now track props in the Rhythm app, NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, and NBA. Al Horford, check out his props there. Rhythm has it all. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RTHMM. Over 1.5 threes for Al Horford every game. That's what you got to take. All day, every day. All right. Main event, according to Tapology, is a squash match as well. 99% they have one man picked in this fight. It is for the AFC middleweight championship. Virgil Augen, the champ from Brazil. Moacir or Moacir, Rocha.
Moacir, I think.
Moacir Rocha from Brazil. 5 rounds if they need it. 185 is the weight class. The challenger Rocha, 14-7-1, 4 knockouts, 6 submissions. He's been knocked out 5 times, submitted once. This is his debut, stepping right into a title fight. He's won 2 straight and 3 of 4. Last win in his last fight was via TKO. He has not lost since November of 2022. He's got multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get sticky with it. 0-1 in LFA. Used to fight at welterweight, 3 years younger than Augen. 7-0, 1 knockout, 3 submissions. He's 5-0 in Aries. He is the champion. He won it in his last bout, which he won via submission. Used to fight at heavyweight and light heavyweight, 4 years younger than Rocha.
I'm gonna try another underdog. I think one of these two foreigners hit. You mentioned, what is he, 3-1 or 4-1 in his last 5?
3-1.
3-1. Do you know who the loss is?
Carlos
Praches.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so like his only loss in his last 4 fights is Carlos Prates. He has this weird and long and lanky as Carlos Prates. It was like kind of a Spider-Man meme in terms of their stature, not in terms of their ability. I wrote down the word. I was trying to come up with a good word to describe the way Rocha fights. I wrote janky. He's weird on the feet. But the thing is that like because he's so long and hits you with like front kicks and stuff like that, a lot of people, particularly ones who like to grapple a little bit like Augen, like I mentioned Ayoub's grappling in the last fight, and like he likes to strike too. So like I feel like just talking about Ayoub's grappling was kind of senseless because he also has pretty technical boxing. But Augen is like a guy who pretty much only wants to wrestle. And like, you know, he feels even less comfortable on the feet in these situations where he's having trouble with the distance management. And so like, I think he's going to shoot all the time. And because of how tall Rocha is, he's actually hard to take down. I've seen some fights where people get in on his legs and pick him all the way up in the air and his legs just spread out. And he's just kind of like, it's kind of like trying to take down a kitchen table. And like, then he's back on the feet. In addition to that, if you like dig on that takedown over and over and over again, he's got a really nice guillotine and it's like a standing guillotine. He changes the hand. So he's got that like John Jones upward pressure. I've seen him finish a guy or two that way. Look, I'm not sitting here telling you to back the Brinks truck up and bet Rocha and Amato, but I do think at least one of these two score like an upset on these French champions, either by Amato having better cardio than Ayoub, working his wrestling a little bit, and by Rocha just being like spoiling the grappling of Augen in like forcing him to have a weird striking match or eat a guillotine. So if both of these two are 5-1, you know, we lay a unit on both of them, just one of them win, and we're getting plus 250 on both. So that's the way I see it. And if both of them hit, it's a huge payday. Give me Rocha and give me Amato.
All right. You think Rocha's going to be 5-1 too or around there?
Yeah. I mean, like, it would not surprise me if these start off at like 3-1 or 5-1 and balloon up to like, honestly, just wait until it's almost fight time because they might be 750, 800 by the time the fights roll around. And again, this guy wins the fight more than 1 out of every 5 or 6 times.
All right. That's what we need. All right. Let's give you a recap because my battery is dying again, Gumby. Let's go through it. Don't you go away, though, people. We got lightning round coming up. Rocha or Hoka, if you like to say it like I do. Amato, there is 2 big dogs to make you people mad. Zébo, you won't be mad when it hits, though. You won't be mad when it hits. Zébo, Radoš, I forgot to put, you think... What number do you think we're going to get on Radoš?
I said pick. I think.
Right. Okay. Radoš and Djiroun. Say it again. You say it better.
Djiroun.
That is exactly how you say it, I bet. All right. Lightning round. Zap, bam, boom, pow, Gumby.
So I'm going to take one Frenchman and one not so Frenchman, although I think he trains in France now. Youssef Binate is from the Ivory Coast. He's a boxer and he's 5-0 in the UFC. Real explosive striking. All of his wins are by round 1 KOs. I think they're setting him up with a chance to get his 6th round 1 KO. I think he trains in France now, despite being like proudly waving the Ivory Coast in flag. The other one, Wissame Akamouche. I know he trains in France now, despite being Moroccan. But he's Moroccan, 6-1 dude, got really well-rounded skills. Like how he mixes it up. So those are my 2 here. Akamouche and Binate are the 2 plays.
All right, you're all set. We've got your, I guess you're set until this event will probably end around, 4 or 5 on Saturday. We don't have anything Saturday night for these people, do we? So you may...
A much-needed break after midnight watching MMA of this, this caliber.
All right. You're set. We will be in the Discord discussing these events and a bunch of other stuff, I'm sure, at MMAGamblingPodcast.com/Discord. On Twitter, SGPN MMA. He's going to be Vreeland. I'm Jeff Fox Writer. Jeff Fox Writer on Instagram as well. In our YouTube, of course, make sure you subscribe. You can comment in there at MMA Gambling Podcast. Get in my Substack, moneymma.substack.com, and you can play my pickup contest for this week's UFC, which we will start breaking down on tomorrow's episode. Gummy's got Top Turtle MMA Podcast. He's got one of our friend Jong's favorite fighters, Tabitha Ricci, on there. And he has got, I'm blanking on the other one because I don't pay
the attention. Octagon flyweight champion,
right.
Sam Creed.
Yes. That is correct. He's not lying. And of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We'll talk to you tomorrow. UFC at Macau, a good fight card is no more Apex until next year. So we have some good fight cards coming up. Till then, it'll be actually greeting you there will be Fierceness, Jeff Fox, and the Warrior Gumby Breathing. And we'll talk to you then.